Hello, I'm your host, Anika Howard, and welcome back to Global Gaming Women's Fair Game Podcast. I'm here in the studio, the Light and Wonder Studios, and I'm just always grateful to be here. They donate their time and energy to edit and produce this segment for us. And also, I want to give a shout out to Penn Entertainment. So Penn Entertainment is one of our valued sponsors, and they're also responsible for helping make sure that we continue to bring this amazing programming in the form of the podcast, but also a lot of the amazing programming that you can learn more about at the Global Gaming Woman website. So appreciate that. And today, I'm just really excited that we're going to have a special guest joining me shortly. I'm Courtney Garland. So Courtney Garland is going to be featured because she's just a dynamo in her own right. And I'm gonna kind of hold the applause so that we can get to know her together in a few minutes. But this is part of our Casino 101 series, and this series is really focused on demystifying the gaming industry. There's so many opportunities and paths that people can take as they try to navigate the different ways to be successful in this industry. And this episode and series is really designed to help get people excited and get a little bit of insight into the inner workings of some of the most successful and dynamic people in the industry. So we're very happy to have Courtney Garland join us today. So today I'm so excited. We are going to head 20 minutes outside of the Strip to downtown Henderson's historic border district. It is one of the most fascinating revival stories in Southern Nevada. Once a sleepy stretch, the Water Street district has come back to life over the last decade, and it's anchored by two casinos. And these casinos have been welcoming for locals for years. And so the Emerald Island Casino, known as Nevada's only penny casino when it opened in 2003, and the iconic Rainbow Club, which has been on Water Street since 1967. And so our guest today it runs operations for both. Courtney Garland is the director of operations for the Emerald Island Casino and Rainbow Club Casino. A born and raised Las Vegan, a Green Valley High School and UNLV grad, a Vegas Inc. 40 under 40 honoree, and someone who started as an executive casino host and worked her way up to running daily operations across both of these two properties. So I'm so excited to have her here because she's going to help run through kind of her journey and what Casino 101 looks like from inside a local casino. So Courtney, welcome to Global Gaming Women's Fair Game Podcast.
Thank you so much, Nika.
I'm so happy to have you. And I'm really glad that, running two properties is a lot of work. So I'm glad that you've taken time out of your busy schedule to share your journey with us. And so I always love starting with people's origin story. You're a local Las Vegan, kind of born and raised here. And even in the casino industry here, that's pretty rare. And on top of that, your parents were also kind of built their careers in casino and hospitality. So tell me about how that was growing up.
Yeah, definitely a unique experience to be Vegas, born and raised. The gaming and hospitality industry was always a part of my life. Both my parents worked in it. So conversations about guest service, operations, what was happening at the local properties were pretty normal around our dinner table. Looking back, I realized that wasn't probably a typical childhood experience or conversation starter, but it did give me an early appreciation for how much work goes into creating those memorable experiences for guests. The local properties have always been landmarks in our communities and a significant part of the region's story, especially Henderson. Seeing the impact they have on residents and their visitors, they made me want to be a part of that legacy. It contributes to an industry that brings people together through entertainment, hospitality, and of course, exceptional service.
I mean, it's great that you kind of carried on because a lot of times when, that's your parents' profession, a lot of people want to kind of go and run in the opposite way. So it's nice to see you continuing that legacy. Can you talk about, take us through some of the early days? You joined Emerald Island, I think in 2016 as an executive host. And for listeners who do not know what that role is, a host And you can kind of elaborate too. But
Sure.
that's the relationship layer of the property and the player. And so, what did being kind of that casino host teach you? And what are some of those lessons that you still carry on today?
My time as an executive casino host taught me that hospitality is ultimately about relationships. You're on the front lines every day, listening to guests, understanding what matters to them, finding ways to make their experience memorable. It's kind of a mix of guest service, problem solving, building trust.
Yeah.
So that gave me a deep understanding of the rhythms of the casino floor and how every department really contributes to that overall experience. When you're interacting with guests every day, you quickly learn that the small details matter and every touch point has an impact. So today I still carry those lessons with me. It's important to stay connected to your guests, your team members, to listen first, never lose sight of the fact that we're in the people business. The relationships we build are what makes the guests keep coming back and what makes specifically a locals property successful over the long term. So basically, in a nutshell, hosting taught me that the numbers, they'll tell you part of the story, but the conversations with the guests tell you the rest.
No, and I think that's so important. I think people underestimate the importance that communication plays across the board. And I think especially kind of developing that relationship with players it's very critical. So that was a good lesson to learn early on. And so then let's kind of fast forward to 2020. You were promoted to director of operations, and that promotion, if I remember correctly, really kind of handed you kind of operations right smack dab before the pandemic and in the middle of the pandemic. And so how was that kind of taking on kind of operations and that really pivotal time in the industry?
Yeah, that period really tested me as a leader in ways that I hadn't experienced before. I stepped into that new role right as everything was changing day by day and a 24/7 business. So the priority was simple but heavy: to protect the guests, the team, stay aligned with all the evolving mandates and health standards. So it was just nonstop change. Nothing stayed still for long. And business is always like that, but it was like 0 to 100. But basically, what I learned, I think what I take away from that experience is that change is constant. And I always thought that I struggled with change. But I would say that I now know that I can be at my best in uncertainty. I stay calmer than I thought I would. I can make decisions with limited information. I struggled with delegation prior to that, and I really started leaning on my team more than ever, keeping the communication clear, direct. I didn't know all the answers, but just staying steady when everything wasn't. Gained a new respect for the resilience of my teams. It wasn't an easy time, but we showed up, we adapted, we kept going. But that experience, that start, really shaped how I lead today, being steady so everyone can keep moving the needle forward.
No, and that's an amazing story and testament. I think what a lot of, especially our listeners, you don't always feel like when you're in those moments that those are going to be really the opportunities that really forge you and help build you. And so I think the lesson is leaning into that and taking the lesson and growing from it. So that's great. And so I think what we're going to do now is go kind of dig into the deep part of our episode, which is really the Casino 101. So let's do a little bit of that. For listeners who think every casino on the Strip and only really think about that, can you break down what makes a local casino different than a destination resort, and why does the distinction matter?
Sure. The biggest difference between a locals property versus a Strip property is really footprint and purpose. A locals casino is built for frequency, not just once in a lifetime visits. It's about being part of someone's weekly routine, not just a stop on the Strip. A property like ours in downtown Henderson, it's smaller, more personable. You've got a strong focus on slots, everyday promotions, great value, especially in food and beverage, and just offering things that reward repeat play. We also lean into the community, whether that's partnerships with local vendors or giving guests ways to use their points to support local businesses. It's kind of a place where service really matters because you're seeing the same faces all the time. I like to say it's a bit like Cheers.
Yeah.
Everyone knows your name. That consistency and familiarity is what builds that loyalty. And that's what really makes the locals casino different.
And then even in terms of local lore, Water Street has its own story, right? And so downtown Henderson has gone through this phase where they've been forgotten, and now it's one of the most exciting revival districts in Southern Nevada. So can you talk about kind of that transformation, and kind of what that's meant for that neighborhood?
Yeah, that's been exciting to be a part of because you can actually see the transformation in real time, right? So from an operational standpoint, downtown Henderson, especially Water Street District, has gone through a real repositioning over the past several years. It used to feel kind of quieter, and now it's becoming a more defined entertainment dining district supported by developments like Lifeguard Arena, new restaurants, businesses continuing to invest in the area. But our approach as operators have been to lean into that momentum and integrate into the neighborhood rather than just sit alongside it. So that means building those partnerships with local businesses, making sure we're contributing to the overall guest experience in the area. Because strategically, that kind of growth benefits everyone, right? More people discovering the area, spending time in the district, making it an experience where they can experience multiple businesses during a single visit. Just kind of creates a stronger sense of destination around the entire area, not just like our property or a single property. But that's, again, one of the things that make local gaming unique. We're not just part of that business community, we're part of the community itself. And as it grows, we have an opportunity to grow alongside it and continue serving the people who call Henderson home.
No, absolutely. And so as director of operations, I know you play a pivotal role in that. But when people hear like titles about like director of operations, usually I'm sure there's nothing that can really prepare you for what that means. So can you talk about kind of what you do as a director of operations, and kind of like on any given day? I can imagine you have one day, there's never a dull moment, and probably each day is very different and unique. But kind of talk us through a day in the life of Courtney.
Sure. Very dynamic business, right? So every day looks a little different, but my role is really about connecting all those pieces. So a day in the life, early in the day, I might be in meetings with vendors or a leadership team. We're planning an event or a promotion or the next best thing that's going to keep our experience for our guests fresh. But as the day goes on, I try to spend the majority of my time on the floor as much as possible. That's where the real work happens for operations. I'm talking with guests, checking in with our team members, handling any issues, maintaining compliance, just ensuring everything is running smoothly as it should. But there's a very human side to my job. It's like knowing your customers, understanding what's working and what's not working for your team. And just those face-to-face conversations help me make better decisions than like just, reading reports. But I do all kinds of stuff, from sometimes serving as like MC for promotions. I'm welcoming guests over the mic. I'm stopping by the kitchen to make sure the French fries are hot and fresh. That's operations. You can be talking about strategy, or you can be checking food quality. I could be getting a call on a day off or on graveyard to help come in and congratulate a jackpot winner who's having one of the more exciting moments of their year. But at the end of the day, my job is just to make sure guests have a great experience and that the team that they have what they need to be successful. But how that happens changes every day, but the goal is the same.
No, absolutely. And speaking of that, the one thing that you didn't even touch on that I kind of, when I did my research, learned about was kind of on the technology side. So can you also touch on the importance of technology? So you led the launch of the Emerald Express Cash by, I think that's Marker Tracks. And
Yes.
At the time, it was the first cashless gaming system in Henderson, and only the second one in the state. So that's a big milestone. So can you talk about why that mattered and how that kind of factored into the experience that you were creating at those casinos?
Yeah, absolutely. So technology is becoming a bigger and bigger part of the gaming industry as a whole, right? It has been for some time and it will continue to do so. But for me, it comes down to if it makes sense for making things easier for the guests, right? You want to constantly improve their experience. And so when we introduce new technology, we like with Emerald Express Cash, which is powered by Marker Tracks, now called Mula.
Yes.
But we were one of the first properties in Nevada to offer that type of cashless gaming solution. So the goal was to give guests a convenient way to access funds directly at their machine without some of like the more traditional steps of that process. But and there, there was lots of reasons why it benefited them. But at the end of the day, what I learned from the rollout of introducing something so new was that, again, it comes back to people. The technology, how it works is often the easy part, but the harder part is helping your team and your guests get comfortable using it, changing those habits that they've had for years. Like some were excited to try it right away and others preferred the way they had always done it. But we just focused on education, communication, and making sure that they felt confident. The team did, helping guests through the process. But technology works best when it supports hospitality. So, like that product, along with some other things we've rolled out, makes things easier and more convenient, then it's a win-win.
And then even that technology, you talk about that. There was also an opportunity that you launched and launched and restructured the player program, correct? Can you talk a little bit about that, kind of, and how technology and player feedback and all of these things really intersect to help I guess a number of things, help you really evaluate kind of what players want, but also be able to kind of listen and lean in and kind of take that technology then to build a better experience, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely. When we started looking at combining our loyalty program across both properties, one of the biggest things we heard from guests was that they already viewed the Emerald Island and the Rainbow Club casinos as connected. So they wanted their rewards experience to match with that, to be seamless. So we brought the program together really to make things simpler and more convenient for them. The feedback is meaningful because our guests have been with us for a long time. So in some cases, like at the Rainbow, generational. So at the end of the day, we went off what the guest feedback was, and we made the technology match. So people wanted an experience that felt connected to the properties. And so we just listened and we tried our best to make that happen. And we did it.
No, I mean, that's great. So I want to kind of switch to talking about you as a leader. So, casino, in one of the things we talk about with Global Gaming Women a lot, is traditionally male dominated, and then especially on the operation side. And so, can you talk about your team's culture and what type of leader kind of you are? I mean, I think the audience has heard about that in terms of just being very, very adoptive from learning and bringing some of that forward. But like, if you would describe your leadership style.
Sure. So my goal, if I had to summarize, would be to be a very present leader. So with that, I stay close to the floor, close to the team. I try not to lead from assumptions. I ask a lot of questions. I listen more than I talk, and I try to create an environment where others feel comfortable speaking up and sharing what they're seeing. Mentorship and advocacy are a big part of that for me. People grow when they feel supported. I know I did. And when they see leadership showing up constantly and not just directing from a distance, I really believe in leading by example. Culture is built in those little small moments, how you handle pressure, how you show up for your team, and whether people feel seen when everything gets so busy.
Yeah.
So my goal is just to be consistent, approachable, and set the tone that everyone matters in the outcome.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that is kind of leaning into your why. And so what is your why? What are the things that get you the most fired up when you walk through those doors?
My why is pretty simple. It's the people.
Yeah.
It's the regulars. It's the energy that never really stops moving. What really fires me up is the ability to turn moments into a win. So even on tough days, if I can get things moving or solve problems in real time or make someone's day better, I just love that feeling of wooing them or winning people over. and the places are just part of everyone's routines and their lives, and being able to show up for that every day is really what keeps me going.
And I think kind of when you kind of take a step outside of that, I mean, you also volunteer. And so how do you find balance? And, can you talk about your work that you do at the animal shelter?
Yeah, I've done different community work over time, and it's always been something that is important to me. It keeps me grounded. The mindset of showing up for a community has always been there for me in different ways, but it feeds into how I lead. So hospitality is community work in a lot of ways. You're working with people, building relationships, and trying to make someone's day better and make an impact if you can. So that helps me stay balanced. It's a commitment, but it gives me perspective outside of just operations, and I come back, hopefully more patient because of it.
Yeah, no, and I feel like all of those skills, the things you learn when you're volunteering and you're kind of leaning into things that you care about, as well as what you learn operationally, they're all transferable and you
Oh
can
yeah,
interchangeable.
absolutely.
And so I'm kind of wanting to kind of wind everything down, but want to kind of get your advice and talk about a little bit about what's next. And so for listeners that are curious about gaming operations as a career but don't have an idea of where to start, what's your advice on how to
Start anywhere. Start anywhere on the floor. You don't have to have it all figured out in the beginning. I think what matters most is learning your customers, learning the operation, understanding how everything actually works day to day, and you need to get in there to do that. So my advice to you is to say yes to opportunities, especially early on. Even if it doesn't seem like your end goal at the time, that's usually where you learn and grow the most, where people start to see your potential. Also, my advice would be to look for mentors and leaders that you can learn from, ask questions and pay attention to how they operate. But also don't be afraid to step into leadership opportunities even if you don't feel like you're fully ready yet, you might surprise yourself, but stay consistent and your path tends to open up over time.
No, and I bet you've already kind of said the answer to this, but Jess, I want to kind of bring it home. Like, what do you feel is the most underrated skill for someone who wants to run a casino floor someday?
Someone who wants to run an operation,
yes.
I would say observation. Now, what I mean is, I think it's an underrated skill in this business, because noticing what's happening on the floor before you're asked to react to it. A lot of running a casino floor is about anticipating needs and where a guest might need help before they ask, or noticing when something's off, spotting a small inefficiency before it turns into a bigger issue. But the best operators I've worked with they're not always the loudest in the room. They're the ones who see things early on and quietly move to fix them. So if you're really present, paying attention, you start to understand the floor in a different way. So I'd definitely say observation.
I appreciate that response. And I think that's definitely true, that a lot of times it's between observation and actively listening and really being attentive and tuned in. So
active listening is another good word.
No, but the observation piece of it is super, super important, because it's about anticipating not just the needs of the team, but the needs of the players and the customers, which is the lifeblood of the operation. So thank you for that. And so I'm going to end with kind of a final question. Can you talk about something that's happening at the Emerald Island or Rainbow Club right now that you're particularly proud of?
It always comes back to how I'm really proud of how our team has built our success up by how we treat our guests. So our guests, they have a lot of options, and the fact that they keep choosing to come back says everything. A lot of them are regulars, so over time, our team gets to know them personally, and they really go the extra mile. The service is something that I don't take for granted. And I'm also very proud of how we invest in our team. We built a strong culture of promoting from within and developing leadership internally. And it's been really rewarding to see team members grow into those roles and then help train the next gen of leaders too. So I'm really proud of our team.
No.
They're very resilient.
Spoken like a true leader. So thank you very much for your time. And so, Courtney,
You're welcome.
have a question for you. We have a tradition here at the Fair Game Podcast, and where we close with rapid fire questions. And so is it something, are you up for it? Kind of no overthinking, just super quick kind of questions for the audience.
I'm going to do my best.
To get to know you a little bit better. So penny slots or video poker?
Penny slots.
Okay. One song that has to be on the casino floor playlist.
Superstition by Stevie Wonder.
Oh my God, great song. Let's see, your triple B burger order, how would you build it?
Cheese, extra pickles.
Oh wow, yummy. And what Vegas strip casino do you secretly love? I know you're a locals casino girl, but
I am a locals. I like New York.
Okay. No, that still has that nostalgic feel to it too. So that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah. And so one word, since you've talked so much about them, that you would use to describe your team.
Resilient.
Great. And then just a final question. Name a woman in gaming that we should all be paying attention to.
Oh, Lori Bamford.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about Lori.
Lori, she works for ECL. She's our legal counsel, but she's amazing. And she's such an advocate for women in this business. She's a firecracker. So I can't wait to see what she does next.
No, thank you. Thank you for this. Will you hang out with me while I close out this segment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Thank you so much again for having me.
No, absolutely. This was just a fun conversation. And operations, I think, sometimes doesn't always get the spotlight, but you have reminded us why it absolutely deserves to have it. So appreciate that. This concludes our Casino 101 episode. And this is really just kind of really exciting to shine a light on locals casino and the operations and really a lot of the core people that are the heart of this industry. Once again, I want to recognize Penn Entertainment for kind of for sponsoring this episode. And as always, thank you for joining the Global Gaming Women Fair Game Podcast. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.